Okay, so get ready
Mm-hmm.
because we are going deep today.
Yay!
Deep into some like seriously mind-bending ideas.
All right, bring it on.
You ready?
Alrighty.
All right, we are doing a deep dive today into the metaphysics of Alexander Dugin.
Alexander Dugin?
Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I've heard of Dugin.
So for those who haven't heard of him, he's a Russian political philosopher.
Right.
And he's got this idea called the fourth political theory,
Okay.
which is basically kind of like this attempt to create a whole new map of politics.
A new map.
One that goes beyond, our traditional left-right kind of thinking.
Right.
And offers an alternative to the big three, so to speak,
Okay, I'm following.
which are liberalism,
Right.
communism,
Yeah.
and fascism.
Yeah. Okay, so like the major ideologies of the 20th century, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, so he's trying to like break out of that box completely.
Interesting.
But to really understand what he's talking about,
Yeah.
with this fourth political theory, we've got to understand the foundation it's built on,
The foundation.
which is his metaphysics.
Okay, so we're going like a level deeper.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going past the politics to the underlying like philosophy.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're going into Dugin's mind
Let's do it.
to see how he constructs this radical worldview.
Sounds fun.
Right. And the listener sent in some fascinating material
Yeah.
about this. So here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because Dugin, he actually rejects a concept that many consider to be fundamental to Western thought,
Okay, which is?
logos.
Logos. Okay, so we're talking about reason, order, the principle of reason that underlies Western philosophy.
Exactly. Yeah, like the force that brings structure to the universe.
Uh-huh.
The underlying logic and reason.
So like the basis of science and math and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dugin rejects this.
He sees our emphasis on logos as the root of many modern problems.
Well, hold on. So he's saying that reason is the problem.
In a way, yeah, he thinks it's led to this excessive rationalism.
Okay.
This suppression of intuition and spiritual understanding.
So it's like we've become too focused on the head and not enough on the heart or the gut.
Exactly. And ultimately, that's led to a disconnect from something deeper.
From like the wellspring of existence.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's a pretty radical claim.
It is. So if he's rejecting logos, what does he propose instead?
Right, because you can't just have a void.
What about that?
Yeah.
This is where things get even more interesting.
All right, lay it on me.
He wants to embrace what he calls the pre-existing chaos
Pre-existent chaos.
that precedes logos.
Okay, so like the primal state before order was imposed.
Exactly.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this.
I know it's a big one, so think of it this way.
Okay.
Imagine logos as a beautifully organized garden.
Okay, a nice, neat garden.
Yeah, with all the rows and everything perfect.
Yeah, I can picture it.
Dugin is saying, let's go back to the wild forest
The wild forest.
that existed before the garden was even planted.
Okay, so back to nature,
In a way,
to the raw, untamed state.
exactly. And see what potential we can find there.
Okay, but doesn't that mean like everything goes then?
That's a good question. And it's easy to misunderstand what he's saying here.
Right, because how do you even function in a world without any order?
He's not suggesting we completely abandon reason
Okay.
or descends into like pure anarchy.
Right.
It's more nuanced than that.
Nuance. Okay.
He's saying that this primal chaos, it isn't simply the opposite of logos.
So not like order versus chaos.
Right. It's more like he uses this analogy of the ocean.
The ocean, okay.
So on the surface,
Yeah.
it might be calm and ordered.
Right. The surface can be very deceptive.
Yeah, you can look out and think everything's fine,
Uh-huh.
but underneath
Yeah.
lies this vast churning depth.
Right. Full of currents and creatures and who knows what else.
Exactly. And that's the primal chaos that Dugin's talking about.
Okay, so chaos as this like deep underlying force.
Yeah. And he believes that it includes logos.
So logos is like a part of this bigger chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Like a wave on the surface of the ocean.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it.
Yeah, it's a big idea.
It is.
So if this chaos is the source of everything,
Including logos.
right, including logos,
What does that mean for us?
well, one interpretation of Dugin's chaos,
Yeah.
particularly from a Christian perspective,
Okay.
is that it represents the state before creation.
So like the void.
Exactly, the void.
Interesting.
And this void isn't seen as empty or negative.
Right. It's like the potential for everything.
Precisely. It's brimming with potential.
Okay.
It's the raw material from which everything is born.
So instead of fearing chaos, we should see it as this wellspring of creative energy.
Exactly.
Hmm.
He believes that by tapping into this primal chaos,
Yeah.
we can unlock this incredible freedom and potential.
Like we're accessing the raw power of creation itself.
Exactly.
That's powerful stuff.
It is, but it brings up a big question.
Which is...
If we're talking about chaos and creation,
Right.
where does God fit into all of this?
Yeah, because you can't just ignore the biggest creator of them all.
Right, and that's a crucial point.
Yeah.
Dugin isn't advocating for replacing God with chaos.
So they're not interchangeable.
Not at all.
Okay.
He sees the power of chaos as something to be used
Mm-hmm.
in alignment with God's creative purpose.
So this chaos isn't just some random force. It's
Right.
tied to a divine purpose.
Yeah, like the raw energy that God used in creation.
Okay.
So it's more about being inspired by that divine act of creation
Uh-huh.
and channeling this chaotic energy
Right.
in a way that's, well,
Godly.
godly, exactly.
Right. Okay.
Dugin believes we're called to be creators,
Right.
to invent and to shape the world.
But not in a way that rivals God. It's
Yeah.
more about tapping into that same creative energy and
Exactly.
expressing it in our own unique ways.
Exactly.
Okay.
So to recap,
All right, let's recap.
Dugin is calling for a pretty radical reorientation of our thinking.
Reorientation.
He wants us to move beyond our traditional understanding of logos.
The Western way of thinking.
Yeah, and embrace the potential of chaos.
Or wild force.
The wild force, exactly.
Okay.
But all while keeping in mind
Yeah.
that divine purpose behind creation.
Right. So it's not just pure chaos.
No, it's chaos with a purpose.
Chaos with a purpose. That's a good one.
Right. But this leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it?
It does lay it on me.
Okay, so if this chaos really does hold the potential
Mhm.
for incredible creation and freedom,
Like Dugin suggests.
like Dugin suggests, then how do we tap into that power responsibly?
Responsibly. Right. Because chaos can be dangerous.
Exactly.
It can be destructive.
How do we avoid falling into the traps of nihilism?
Right. Like just saying nothing matters, so do whatever you want.
Exactly. Or letting this unbridled energy
It's chaotic energy.
become destructive.
Yeah, like unleashing forces we can't control.
Exactly.
That's the big question, isn't it?
It's something worth pondering.
It is.
Maybe we need to channel our inner chaos gods,
Our inner chaos gods.
but in a responsible way.
Responsibly, it's
Yeah.
definitely a new way of thinking about things.
It gives a whole new meaning to thinking outside the box.
It does. It makes you wonder if maybe we've boxed ourselves in a little too much.
Maybe we have.
Food for thought.
Definitely food for thought.
Well, this has been a wild ride.
It has.
Thanks for taking me down the rabbit hole of Dugin's metaphysics.
Anytime. I'm always up for a good deep dive.
Me too, and I'm sure our listeners are as well.
Until next time.
Stay chaotic, but be responsible about it.
Words to live by.